Introduction to Selenium. Introduction to Selenium. Observe. First one, Selenium is a suite of software tools to automate web browsers. See, Selenium is a suite of software tools to automate web browsers. Try to understand this point. Here two important things. One is suite of software tools. Another is automate web browsers. See, Selenium is not a single tool like UFT, RFT, next Silk test, test complete, test partner, etc. See, UFT, formerly QTP, UFT is single tool, RFT is single tool, Silk test is single tool, supports functional integration testing. But Selenium is not a single tool. Selenium is a suite of software tools. It's a suite. But we no need to use all tools for any project. You can use one or two tools for our projects. One or two tools or single tool also sufficient. Just a minute. Single tool also sufficient. But just remember, Selenium is not a single tool, suite of tools. Okay, somebody trying to ask. Mamata, continue.
So is it a Selenium is automation tool to automate web browsers or web applications?
Web browser means applications. Web applications open in web browsers, na?
Yes, sir. Yeah. Yes, sir. Yeah.
I thought supports like automatically. It supports web applications. See, if any application opens in web browser, then Selenium supports that application.
Yes, sir.
See here, browser is primary. Web application. See, you can find computer web application and mobile web application also, na?
Yes, sir.
In mobile also web apps are there. In a computer environment also applications are there. See, if it is computer web application or mobile web application, Selenium supports. Getting this point? Browser is primary thing.
Yes, sir.
If supporting browser means supporting web application. Default. Okay. See here 2 points. One is suite of software tools. Already I told, Selenium is not a single tool, suite of tools. But UFT, another tool for functional integration testing. UFT is single tool, RFT is single tool, Silk test is single tool. But Selenium is not a single tool, suite of tools. In this suite, we have 4 tools. Selenium IDE, Selenium RC, Selenium WebDriver and Selenium Grid. But we no need to use all tools for any project. You can use one or two tools for your project. Sometimes single tool also enough. Okay, I will explain what is the purpose of each tool in third topic. What is the third topic? Selenium tool suite and Selenium or Selenium components. Okay. Next, automate web browsers means Selenium supports only web applications. It doesn't support desktop applications. For example, UFT, formerly QTP. UFT supports desktop applications and web applications, but Selenium supports only web applications. Okay, now Mamata, this point?
Sir.
Here, did you understand these two concepts? Selenium, first one is Selenium. Selenium is not a single tool, and Selenium supports only web applications.
Okay.
Okay. Next point. Selenium is open source. See, it is an open source. It is an, just a minute. It is an open source suite of tools. It is an open source suite of tools mainly used for functional and regression testing. See, it is an open source suite. For example, UFT is vendor tool, Silk Test vendor tool, RFT Rational Functional Tester vendor tool. See, Selenium is open source, no license cost. Anybody can download and use. Okay, now this point is Suleiman. Second point. Suleiman,
Yes.
is it okay?
Yeah, I'm okay. I'm
Okay.
okay.
Next, Selenium. Selenium supports. All of you put mute. Put mute, Suleiman. After answering the question, put mute. Okay. Okay. Selenium supports various operating environments. Various operating environments. For example, Microsoft Windows, next Linux, next Macintosh, etc. See, it supports all popular operating environments. Example, Windows, Linux, Mac. For example, UFT, formerly QTP, Madhavi, UFT supports. What about UFT in case of supporting operating environments? UFT supports
Windows.
only Microsoft Windows.
Windows.
UFT doesn't support Linux, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Selenium supports various operating environments. Windows, Linux, Mac, etc. What is supporting various various operating environments? For example, our AUT, application under test, deployed on Windows. You can configure Selenium and test. Suppose our application deployed on Windows, you can use Selenium for testing. Suppose our application deployed on Linux, you can use Selenium. Suppose our application under test deployed on Macintosh, you can use Selenium. For example, UFT, our application on Windows, you can use UFT. Suppose our application on Linux, you cannot use UFT. Okay, now, Dilpreet, this third point.
Yes,
Does
sir.
it
Clear.
support mainframe?
Somebody trying to ask me.
Does it support mainframe environment?
Which one?
Selenium.
Selenium, mainframe environment. In mainframe, what browser you use? Browser. Tell me, Saloni, say mainframe environment, AS4 environment. Forget about
Browser.
browser important. Suppose if we use Mozilla or Chrome browser on mainframe in mainframe environment, then you can use Selenium. See, mainframe operating system is OS2. AS400 operating system is AS400. AS400 operating system is OS400. Say, the Selenium is browser based. Suppose if we use Google Chrome or Mozilla Firefox or Internet Explorer on any operating environment, then you can use Selenium. Okay, na?
Okay.
Suppose if you are not using, suppose you are using specialized browser, Selenium may not support that private browser or specialized browser. Suppose popular browsers, if you are using popular browsers, Google Chrome or Internet Explorer or Mozilla Firefox, then you can use Selenium. And one more thing, we use suppose Selenium with Java. Java also platform independent. Java works on Unix, Linux, Macintosh, Windows. You can use Selenium. Here browser supporting important, and this one programming supporting important. Say you try to find that browser, if it is mainframe environment or AS400 environment, what is your application? What is the browser? Then you can choose Selenium. Okay, na?
Yes, sir.
Okay. See, third point, Selenium supports various operating environments. Next, Selenium supports various browsers. Selenium supports various browsers. It supports all popular browsers. See here, default browser is Mozilla Firefox. Why it is default browser, that we will discuss in Selenium module. Default browser is Mozilla Firefox, and it supports other popular browsers also. What are the other popular? Google Chrome. Actually, nowadays Google Chrome is a popular browser than other browsers in terms of market share. Google Chrome, next Microsoft Internet Explorer, next Safari, Opera, etc. But first three browsers important: Mozilla Firefox, Google Chrome, Internet Explorer. Safari, Opera limited use, less use. More than 90% of market share, these three: Google Chrome, next Mozilla Firefox, IE in third position. First position Google Chrome, second position Mozilla Firefox, third position IE. Okay. Next, and one more thing, Selenium supports various browsers. Then what is the difference between two browsers for executing test cases? We need to write different test cases for different browsers? No. Test case same. Test cases same. Browser driver only varies from one browser to another. Suppose you created 100 test cases in your project. If you want to execute on Google Chrome browser, use Google Chrome browser driver and execute. Mozilla Firefox, create Mozilla Firefox driver and execute. IE browser driver. Getting this point, Mrinal? Test case same for any browser. But what is the varying thing?
The web driver.
Browser driver only varies from one browser to another. If you want to execute tests on Mozilla Firefox, create Firefox driver, Chrome driver, IE driver, but test case is same. All test steps in test cases same. Okay na?
Okay.
Next. Any queries, Madhavi? Fourth point. Selenium supports various
No, sir.
browsers.
I'm good.
Okay. Next. Selenium supports various programming environments to write programs. Here in our scenario, program means test script. See, Selenium supports various programming environments, various programming environments to write programs. See, here in this scenario, program means test script. See, Selenium supports various programming environments to write programs. You can choose any one of the languages and test. Suleiman, can you tell me what are the Selenium supported programming languages?
Okay, we have Java,
Java. Selenium supports Java,
C Sharp,
C Sharp .NET, C Sharp,
Python,
Python,
Perl.
Perl. Next,
Yeah. And, what else?
Ruby
Ruby. Yeah.
and Hypertext Preprocessor, PHP. See, Selenium supports 6 programming languages. In our training program, we are going to use Java. Why Java? Why can't we use other languages? That we will discuss in Java for Selenium chapter. Nearly 77% testers, Selenium testers using Java. We also use Java in our training program. Okay, but it supports 6 programming languages for writing test scripts. Whereas UFT, formerly QTP, tell me, Supriya, UFT supports?
Yes, sir. VB script.
VB script only. It doesn't support
Yes, sir.
any other programming or scripting language. Only VB script. But Selenium supports 6 programming languages. You can choose any one. In our training program, we will discuss Java. See, in the industry, nearly 77% testers using Java only. See, this is about supporting programming environments. Next, why we use programming in our test cases? What is the purpose of computer programming in our test cases? See, using programming features, we can enhance test cases. Suppose inserting verification points, parameterization, synchronization, adding comments, etc. See, using programming features, we enhance test cases. Okay. And one more thing, programming features won't recognize web elements, means objects. Selenium recognizes objects, but programming features for enhancing test cases. What is enhancing test cases? Inserting verification points, synchronization, parameterization if required. Next, adding comments, error handling, etc. Okay na? Dilpreet, this fifth concept.
Yes, sir.
And here one
Clear.
small note. Any query, Dilpreet?
No queries, sir.
Okay, cool. Here one small note. In Selenium's tool suite, we have 4 tools. Selenium IDE, next Selenium RC, remote control. But Selenium RC is outdated. Nowadays, nobody using Selenium RC. The successor of Selenium RC is Selenium WebDriver. Selenium WebDriver is powerful tool in Selenium suite. Next, Selenium Grid. Fourth one, Selenium Grid. Okay. Here Selenium IDE. Selenium IDE doesn't support, just a minute. Selenium IDE doesn't support any programming. See, Selenium IDE is just a prototyping tool. You can record and run tests, but it doesn't support any programming. But Selenium RC supports programming. Selenium WebDriver supports programming. What about Selenium Grid? Saloni, what about Selenium Grid?
I don't know, sir.
Mrinal,
The grid support testing of multiple applications at the same time.
testing of the, see grid supports
Multiple
Selenium,
browsers.
grid supports parallel test execution. Okay. See Selenium, say here Selenium Grid. We no need to discuss about programming support for Selenium Grid. Why? Selenium Grid is not for test design. Selenium Grid only for test execution. For example, Selenium IDE, test design and test execution. Selenium RC, test design and test execution. Selenium WebDriver, test design and test execution. But Selenium Grid, no test design, only test execution, parallel test execution. You can execute Selenium RC tests or Selenium WebDriver tests in Selenium Grid. Selenium Grid only for test execution. Getting this point, Suleiman?
Yes.
Here observe. Observe this fifth point. Selenium supports various programming environments to write test cases. Okay. Only Selenium RC and Selenium WebDriver. What about Selenium IDE? Selenium IDE doesn't support any programming. Next, what about last tool, Selenium Grid? Selenium Grid not for test design, only for test execution. Okay, now Madhavi.
Okay.
Selenium IDE is in use or not?
Pardon?
Selenium IDE,
Ah,
any company or any project use this or not?
no, limited use or no use. Selenium IDE also no use. Only Selenium WebDriver. Selenium RC outdated. Selenium WebDriver, if you have parallel test execution, Selenium Grid. Selenium WebDriver. Selenium IDE also not suitable for complete project automation. Okay, na?
Okay.
Selenium WebDriver. Next, one more point. Selenium supporting testing frameworks. See, testing frameworks used in Selenium. Okay. What is the purpose of testing framework? I will explain. First, observe. If we use Java, then you can use either JUnit or TestNG. If we use Java platform, then supporting frameworks are JUnit, either JUnit or TestNG can be used. Any one, not both. If we use Java with Selenium, then you can use either JUnit or TestNG for JUnit or TestNG as testing framework. Here, what is the role of testing framework? I will explain. Next, if we use C#, then supporting available framework is NUnit. If we use hypertext preprocessor PHP, then supporting frameworks Mink plus Mink. Next, if we use Ruby platform, then supporting framework, testing framework is RSpec. If we use this PHP is this Mink is not for PHP. PyUnit. See, for Python, Bhat plus Mink. Forget about remaining combinations. You concentrate on this one. Java. If we use Java platform, Java with Selenium, then we can use either JUnit or TestNG testing frameworks. Then what is the role of testing framework? Observe Mridal. JUnit. See, in our training program, we will discuss TestNG. TestNG is advanced framework than JUnit. TestNG inspired by JUnit and implemented some new features. It is advanced one. TestNG. Next, NG stands for next generation. What is the purpose? Earlier, somebody asked TestNG is test tool or not. Who asked?
I asked, sir.
Dilpreet, now tell me what is the role of TestNG in Selenium? If you integrate Selenium, if you integrate TestNG with Selenium, then what is the role of TestNG?
No idea.
No idea. See, observe a role of TestNG. Groups are advantages of TestNG framework, either JUnit or TestNG, but TestNG is advanced testing framework. Grouping test cases. Next, executing test batches, batch testing. Next, parallel test execution also it supports. Parallel test execution, next, and generating test reports. Say, observe advantage of testing framework, either JUnit or TestNG. Grouping test cases and prioritizing test cases, executing test batches, and generating detailed test reports. Okay na? Dilpreet,
Yes, sir.
But TestNG doesn't recognize objects. Okay, na? Selenium only recognizes
Okay.
objects. Okay.
Okay.
After creating Selenium test case, you can group them and you can execute test batches and generate test reports. Okay, this is framework role. Anyhow, TestNG chapter takes nearly 6 hours. In that chapter, you can get more clarity and you can implement TestNG framework in your project also, no issue. And one more thing, final conclusion, just a suggestion, try to focus on C. Observe Mrinal, Madhavi, observe, focus on C. One is Selenium WebDriver. Selenium WebDriver. All of you put mute. Next, Java programming. Next, TestNG. Just a minute. TestNG. Testing framework. You focus on these three things. What is the purpose? I will explain. Selenium WebDriver. Purpose to recognize or identify elements means objects, to recognize or identify elements and perform operations on elements. Observe Madhavi. Suppose Google homepage. In this homepage, Gmail link is there. Gmail link is element or object. First, recognizing this Gmail link is element identification or element recognition. Next, click. Click is operation on that element. Getting these 2 points. Recognizing elements and performing operations on elements. Getting?
Yes, sir.
These two things can be done by Selenium WebDriver. Selenium can recognize elements and perform operations on elements. Suppose edit box, recognizing edit box, that is recognizing element. Next, enter a value into edit box, operation on element. Okay. Okay, na Suleiman, role of Selenium WebDriver.
WebDriver is to recognize or identify elements or objects and perform operations.
On elements. Next, Java programming. Mrinal, what is the role of Java programming in this scenario?
It is used to write the script or enhance the script.
To enhance test cases. Madhavi, can you give some examples? Enhancing test cases. Inserting verification points. Synchronization. Parameterization. Error handling, etc. Isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Next, TestNG framework. We already discussed. Supriya, last question for the day. Testing framework. What is the role of testing framework? Supriya.
Yes, sir.
Just 5 minutes back I explained role of TestNG framework. Saloni.
Yes, sir. Grouping test cases, executing test cases,
Yes.
parallel test execution, generating test report.
Okay. To group test cases, next execute test batches and generate parallel test execution also, and generate test reports, etc. Say you focus on these three. Okay, na Mrinal?
Okay.
Ah,
Group executing.
I'm going to close the session. Any queries, Suleiman? Any queries?
No, it's clear.
Dilpreet, I'm going to close the session. Any queries?
No, it's clear.
Madhavi?
I'm good. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Mamata?
Yes, sir. I have a question. Sir, for C#, other than NUnit, is there any other tool for the better reporting in C#, Selenium?
Nowadays, NUnit are only available.
Okay, sir.
NUnit only available. You can find in seleniumhq.org website also. They mentioned NUnit only.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Mrinal. Continue, Mamata.
And one more question, sir. It's a general question. So in real time, if we don't have enough requirement specifications and the functional requirements, and if we cannot find any documentation, how can we test the application? It's a
Exploring
general
the
question.
application. You have to use experience-based techniques if you have less or no documentation.
Okay, sir.
Use experience-based techniques, exploratory testing, error guessing, etc. Mrinal, I'm going to close the session. Mrinal, any queries?
No, sir.
Saloni?
I'm good.
Okay, Supriya?
Yes, sir. I'm fine.
Okay. We will meet tomorrow, same time. Thank you.
Thank you.